Okay, picture this. It's 1969. China is in the middle of the Cultural Revolution, and a 39-year-old scientist gets handed a top-secret military mission. Now, she doesn't have a PhD, she's never trained overseas. Frankly, she's a pretty unlikely choice. Her job? To do what the world's most advanced labs couldn't, find a cure for a new, super deadly strain of malaria. Her name was Tu Yu, and the secret she was looking for? Well, it had been hiding in plain sight for 1,600 years. I mean, the contrast here is just mind-blowing. On one side, you have the full might of the United States. We're talking top military labs, unlimited money, testing 250,000 different compounds and getting absolutely nothing. And on the other side, you've got Tu Yu, working in a lab with bad ventilation, using what were basically household pots and pans. It's a real-life David and Goliath story, but for science. So to really get this, you have to go back to the Vietnam War. A new strain of malaria had popped up, and it was completely resistant to chloroquine, which was the go-to drug at the time. The situation was getting desperate, which is why China kicked off this top-secret military program to find an answer, and fast. That program was called Project 523, named right after the date it started, May 23, 1967. And listen, this wasn't some casual research grant. This was a classified military operation. The mission was crystal clear: find a cure and do it by any means necessary. And you can see why they were so serious about it. For their allies, the North Vietnamese, malaria was becoming a bigger killer than combat. The disease was literally a more effective weapon than bullets. This wasn't just a health crisis, it was a military disaster in the making. So this is where Tu Yu's approach was just completely different. While everyone in the West was trying to invent brand new chemicals in a lab, she turned around and walked into a library. She had this gut feeling, that the answer wasn't something new, but something old, something that had been rediscovered from China's incredible 2,000-year history of medicine. And think about the sheer amount of work her team put in. This was anything but a wild guess. They systematically went through thousands of ancient medical texts, building this huge list of over 2,000 potential cures. From there, they started the slow, painful process of testing them, one by one. As they worked, one plant kept popping up over and over again. It's a common weed called qinghao, or sweet wormwood, and the old text said it was great for fevers. So they tested it, but the results were just messy. Sometimes it kind of worked, but most of the time, nothing. You can imagine how frustrating that must have been. So this was the big question, right? Why? Why was this ancient remedy so unreliable in a modern lab? A lot of researchers would have just given up, called it a dead end, but not Tu Yu. She was absolutely convinced they were missing something. So she went back to the original texts, one more time, hunting for a tiny clue everyone else had missed. And she found it, tucked away in a 1,600-year-old manuscript from a physician named Ji Hong. The instructions were so specific: a handful of qinghao immersed in water, wring out the juice and drink it all. He didn't say boil it. That was it. Every single modern attempt to get the compound out of the plant used boiling water. That was just standard procedure. And Tu Yu had this flash of insight. What if the heat was actually destroying the very thing they were looking for? And that one observation, sparked by a single sentence written 16 centuries earlier, changed absolutely everything. It led them to a whole new process, a jaw-dropping breakthrough, and, believe it or not, an incredible act of personal courage. So her team developed a brand new, low-temperature way to get the extract. On October 4th, 1971, they tried out sample number 191 on mice infected with malaria. The result? A 100% success rate. It completely stopped the parasite. It was perfect. But here's where it gets really crazy. The animal tests were a success, but official human trials were months away, and they were running out of time. So Tu Yu did something that is just unbelievable. She, along with two of her colleagues, volunteered to be the very first human test subjects to prove the drug was safe for people. So they'd done it. They found the cure. It worked. It was safe. But this is where the story takes this really tragic twist. Both the discovery and the woman who made it happen were about to disappear from public view for decades. Just look at this timeline. It is absolutely staggering. The discovery happens in 1972. It's not until 2011, nearly 40 years later that the rest of the world finally figures out that 2UU was the one behind it. It took 43 years for her to get the Nobel Prize for her work. Just wow. So why? Why the decades of silence? Well, it all came down to the politics of the Cultural Revolution. Project 523 was a state secret. When they finally published the research, it was presented as this big collective effort with no individual scientist named. 2UU basically became an invisible hero. When she finally got her moment on the world stage in 2015, she named her Nobel lecture a gift from traditional Chinese medicine to the world. So humble. She gave credit not just to her own team, but to the ancient wisdom that showed her the way. And what a gift it turned out to be. Its impact is almost impossible to wrap your head around. We're talking about a common weed that, thanks to an ancient text, completely changed how we fight one of the deadliest diseases on the planet. Just let these numbers sink in for a second. Since the year 2000, over 1 billion treatment courses using her discovery have been given out. Global deaths from malaria have been cut almost in half. We're talking hundreds of millions of lives saved, all because of this one breakthrough. And this whole story, it leads to an even bigger idea. Scientists figure there are about 250,000 different species of flowering plants on Earth. And you know how many we've actually studied for their medical potential? About 5%. We are literally surrounded by a giant unexplored pharmacy. So I'll leave you with this thought. 2UU's story proves that ancient wisdom isn't just history. When you combine it with modern science, it can be incredibly powerful. One common plant, read the right way, saved hundreds of millions of people. So the question is, what other cures are out there, hiding in that other 95%, just waiting for someone to come along and read the instructions?